welcome back to 40 Days of Holiness. Grab your workbook, and if you don't have one, you know where you can get one, right? 40daysofholiness.com. You can get your workbook. Here's today's theme on day number 7. God taught us holiness throughout the Old Testament. So today we're going to talk about the book of Leviticus. Now, pretty much nobody says, yeah, man, I can't wait to read the Bible and the book of Leviticus. It's going to be good times, right? But Leviticus is a vital book for understanding what God means when he says holiness. It's a primer on the subject, foundational, full of basic thoughts and definitions that are going to inform the rest of our education on the ideas of holiness and what it is. Now, people usually kind of run down Leviticus and call it boring or irrelevant, or basically read it and say, oh man, thank God we don't have to do all that stuff anymore, all those rules. Or they read it and say, well, most of these food laws were stuff about the health of the Israelites, and we need to do it so we can be healthy too. And really, none of those perspectives is really fully accurate. A great portion of the purpose of the law, including Leviticus, is not health or even to establish justice, though God cares about those things. The purpose of the Levitical law is to teach the children of Israel the holiness of God. Now, when Israel left Egypt, they were coming out of 400 years of regular exposure to the gods of Egypt. And these gods were very much like the people of Egypt that served them. They were capricious, immoral, untrustworthy, vengeful, and evil. Yet, when you're slaves for a long period of time, you just start to automatically think that the gods of your masters must be more powerful than your gods. It's just human nature. Like, that's why we're here. God can't get us out of here. And God knew he was sending his people out of there to a land where a word for holy already existed. The word Kadesh in Canaan, where they were headed, was already widespread in use. The priests of the pagan religions were called the Kadesh or the Kadashim, the holy men. And if you translated Kadashim directly into English, it would come out as holy men or saints or something like that. Some of them, what were these holy men? Well, they were male or female prostitutes who engaged in sexual activity as part of the worship of the religions of Canaan. The word Kadashah, the holy woman, is used in Genesis 38 for one of those shrine prostitutes, right? They were immoral, and they weren't connected or like God, who's the source of all true holiness. They were men and women of a counterfeit holiness. And God would not allow his holiness, his name, to be maligned in the eyes of his people. So you see the problem God's going to head off here? Israel is going to arrive in Canaan, and they're going to come face to face with a culture where there are other gods. And somebody's going to ask the question, what's your God like, this Yahweh? And the children of Israel say, well, our God is holy. And the pagans say, oh, well, that's great. Our gods are holy too. In fact, we have these holy men, these priests. Your God must be like our God. Let's worship together. And God is not okay with it. He says, I will not share my glory, the glory of my holiness, with another. Remember, he's looking for exclusive, ongoing connection, a covenant relationship where his holiness, the essence of his nature, flows into those who are his. So God set about on this grand project to teach his people the meaning of his holiness. The giving of the law in the Old Testament revolves around the phrase, for I am the Lord your God. It's often coupled with, so you must be holy, or for I, the Lord your God, am holy. So the requirements of God flow out of the character of God, and the core of that character is holiness. And God was not okay with his people misunderstanding the nature of his holiness. And I think we need to stop here and mull this over for a second. I don't know what you've been taught about holiness in the past. Maybe you've been raised with an idea that said, I can be a holy man and still be engaged in sin. I can deliberately, rebelliously do whatever I want and still be a holy man because I go to church on Sunday, or I'm a member of the church. Maybe you were raised in a teaching that said holiness is a list of do's and don'ts. It's like a really difficult life where we have to strip away everything that brings joy and kind of live a hermit sort of life, and that's holiness. I want to encourage you with this. God is waiting and ready to teach you about his character. And we know he's committed to this because he decided you were going to be holy before the foundation of the world. And we can see the patience that he exercised with his people during his teaching process. They blew it. He was faithful still to them. He disciplined them. He sent them prophets. He sent them necessary pain. Sometimes he would send them rich blessing. And all of it was in the service of teaching them what it meant to be holy like he was. So as we pray today, let's put aside old definitions, old assumptions, old ignorance, maybe some past misunderstanding and hurt, and let's just open our minds to the great teacher, the one who does not want his name and his character to be misunderstood. He's more motivated to teach you than you are to learn about him. He wants to teach you what it means that he is holy and how he can produce that in your life. So today, while you're going through the workbook, just let it be glad that God was so patient. He endeavored to take an entire hundreds of years to teach his children, his people, children of Israel, what it meant that he was holy. And he's going to teach you too. All right? You be patient, you keep learning, you keep meditating, and God's going to reform and transform your mind until you understand exactly what he wants you to be like. All right? And what it is to be like him. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.